Hey friends, so I'm going to touch briefly on some misconceptions and some realities of Mindanao, um, and what it's actually like to be there as a foreigner. Now, I just want to give a disclaimer. I've actually never really lived in the Philippines, and I feel like what I might say now could totally be different for someone who actually has been there for at least months consecutively or years. And I'll even get into why I would assume things would be a little bit different for me. But at least for me, if you're gonna go to the Philippines and you're gonna stay there for 2 weeks or a month, my experience could be somewhat similar to yours. If anything, milder than what I personally experienced. So I've done some research and I've looked at the official red zoning maps and stuff like that, and it's like you see like just like a bunch of red and then like a bunch of yellow on the right, and it's kind of true. So I wanted to just go blind, and what I did was I just wrote down like up to 20 kidnappings, up to 20 bombings, up to 20 insurgencies, up to 20 feuds, etc. And I didn't want to think about like where they were geographically on Mindanao, but they're very close. So I'll just go ahead and put up like the original that's out there that's official, and then I'll show you my quick little heat map of like where things are when it comes to crime. And you'll see like that Davao is one of those areas that it's actually, for some maps it's in the yellow, for some it's like a little bit in the red. And there's actually two reasons for that. These are things that I personally didn't even know about the city, but I think it was 2019, someone got kidnapped on Samal Island. So it's a little island off of Davao City. And I think it was 2016, there was a bombing in the Rojas night market, which is kind of unbelievable because I love going to the Rojas night market. And, I think I'm coming in late. I'm coming in after all these things have happened. And I'm kind of seeing what the Philippines government is doing to combat those acts of violence happening. Like they're just preventing in numerous ways. So, when I go somewhere like the Rojas Night Market, there are basically they have like a long stretch of it's like there's food on one end and then it kind of increases into like clothing or accessories and etc. But they actually section it off in sections, or they section it off with guards. And there's even military that are outside with guns, all suited up. And every single section, I have to constantly walk out of one and then check my bag into one. So they are constantly checking me, and I'm doing this, not really thinking much of it, but it's because of what happened, about like 8 years ago. And Samal Island, I've actually been there. I've actually swam in the waters there, and I had a really good time. And apparently, someone got kidnapped. And just recently, I mentioned in another video, there's Elliot Eastman that got kidnapped in Zamboanga. And that, to me, if that was, that's an obvious one because I've already knew that that was in like the hot, hot red area. And yeah, that was just not a good idea. And if you look at my little heat map, it makes it less scary. There's very targeted, like specific spots where things have happened, and Davao City is one of them. But that isn't to say that Davao City is a problem. It is apparently the fourth safest city in all of Philippines. So I think, to say that, that's actually a really good thing. And, you know, still, I'm not going to count, oh, this is the fourth safest city in all the Philippines, I'm just going to go ahead and just be act ignorant and, be naive and, not protect myself. Because there's things that I do, from my experiences of traveling, what I can do or not do as a foreigner. And I'll tell you, in brief, what I have encountered that was dangerous. And it was not really my own fault, but I'll just go into it. All the things that I found that were dangerous was the chaos of other cars not paying attention to me and me on my motorbike almost crashing into them, or it was me dating a Filipina and finding out that she had a boyfriend and he's pissed. So, um, you know, what are you gonna do? So that was like the level of what I had to experience when it came to being in the Philippines. For the most part, you know, from what I understand, most people are non-practicing Catholic. So they have a strong belief in God and in the Christian faith, but they are not really going to church. But it's because they're busy or they want a rest day from working all the time. So I can't really blame them for not wanting to go to church. But there's a little bit I do see that are Muslim, and honestly, they're some of the sweetest people that I've passed by. Them smiling, or they've just been really nice and welcoming to me, and you know, I have tattoos, and I know that that bothers some people, and it makes them question some things. But I haven't really gotten anybody that mistreated me in any way, and maybe it's due to the fact that I'm just the way I am to others is non-threatening, so they don't really feel threatened by me, and they treat me okay, and I try to respect them. But yeah, so for me, like, yeah, is there, I could be walking into something where you could get bombed, potentially, but if you actually go there, especially in Davao City, before you enter the city, you have to go through a military checkpoint. And there's actually several of them. So I'll just go like out of Davao City into like Digos. And between Digos and Davao City, there's like a really strong military checkpoint. And yeah, they'll ask me to turn off my motorbike and check my trunk and check my box and check my bag and ask me a billion questions and send me on my way. But like they're keeping me safe. And they're everywhere, and they even do random checks, which is really nice. So I'll be driving on the same freeway that I was before, and then suddenly there's traffic, and then you can see that there's military or police that's guiding, us to the other side, and they're just, questioning everybody that they think, is suspect for wrongdoing, and they have no problem questioning me and what I'm up to, and I have no problem answering their questions. And I think what's even nice too is I've actually gone through Bukidnon, so like the mountain area, and I actually kind of find it really beautiful, and it's a really fun drive when you're on a motorbike. One thing though is making sure that you have enough gas and knowing where to stop to get some gas. So you find some places where there's like lined up Coke bottles of like diesel or gasoline. So you better make sure that you actually have some change so you can refill that bike. But yeah, so that's like really the minor dangers that you're kind of thinking about. Like, oh, like what if I break my leg in the middle of Mindanao, or what if I run out of gas, or does anyone speak English around me, or yeah, so things like that. That's like what's going on in my mind. But when it comes to anyone being suspicious or whatever like that, the first time that I was, in the Philippines, I went on a date with a girl, and this is actually really good advice. But if you're not really sure what's safe or not, it's always really good to meet someone in a really public place, especially somewhere like a mall, because the malls are also heavily guarded and they have to check your bags and everything. And my policy was, if I'm going to meet somebody for the first time, and there's no connection between me and them, like a friend of a friend, yeah, I'm gonna go on a date with them inside the mall. I mean, it's safe for me, it's safe for them. We can try anything we want in like whatever restaurant. We can go take a look at stuff. We can go see a movie, which is pretty amazing. The movie theaters are pretty cool, and they're also pretty cheap for foreigners. But yeah, so I just meet a girl at the mall, and I'll tell you one story. This is the first strange encounter that I really, it probably is like the strangest encounter, but it was my first time, and I met up with a girl, and um, she was acting a little bit weird. She was telling me she was cold, and I happened to have my hoodie, and I gave that to her, and she kept saying, "Oh no, she's still cold. She's still cold. Like we need to go outside." And I just told her, "Hey, the reason why I invited you to this mall is that I want you to be safe, and I want me to be safe. So, like let's just stay in here. Let's just talk." And she was like, "No, no, like my friend's here," and I'm just like, "Your friend?" She's like, "Yeah, my friend's waiting for us. Let's go outside." And my spidey senses were tingling, so like I was just like, "Sorry, but you're gonna have to go." And she was pushing me to go with her outside, and I could get robbed or stabbed or kidnapped or whatever, but heck no, I'm not going to go with some girl that I think is cute outside to meet some guy that I don't know. Are you kidding me? So what I did was, because she was pushing me to do something I didn't like, and I would never pressure a girl to do something that she wouldn't like, I just simply blocked all contact with her in front of her face, just letting her know, hey, this stops right here. You cross the line, you go ahead and leave. And she just disappeared. But really, that's like probably the closest I've been to, you know, real, like personal danger that I've been in. There's a lot of times where, I'm pissing off some guy because, I find out he exists and he's the boyfriend of a girl that I'm dating, but, you just tell him, hey, I'm sorry, you can have her. I don't really care. Um, and the cars, sometimes you'll just drive on your motorbike, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, they'll just cross your lane, and you're just like, "Holy crap! I'm about to die right now." And it's funny to say. It's exciting, but it's yeah, it's great. But yeah, so uh, I think for me is I can show you. I think it's better just I can say things out loud what I'm thinking, why what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And you'll probably maybe perhaps think I'm paranoid, but really I'm just taking every precaution. I'm doing what I can. I'm thinking out loud, survival or whatever. It's not really that much, but if it ever comes up, I'll share with you. One thing that comes to mind is if I'm in an unknown territory, because I'm white, I stick out like a neon thumb, but uh, I keep my motorbike helmet on until I get inside somewhere like a mall or a restaurant or whatever. So there's less eyes on me. Um, and yeah, they could probably see me with my hands, but for the most part, I'm basically covered with my jacket, and I've got my motorbike helmet on, and I'll just walk inside, and then there's less eyes attracted to me. That's the one thing is that you're gonna have to get used to as a foreigner, is that everyone's gonna stop and stare at you, and they might even approach you. And if you've got like severe social anxiety, which I do not, uh, like it's gonna happen, and you know, it might make you feel really uncomfortable, but it's actually best to embrace it and be aware of what's going on rather than sinking into your mind of feeling uncomfortable, because being aware and seeing what's going on is what keeps you safe. And I have to say this too, to touch on the difference probably between me and someone that's actually lived in the Philippines, especially somewhere like Mindanao, is that you know they are in probably one spot for a really long time. For me, I get to jump from place to place to place to place. And I could still probably do that while I'm living there, but your neighbors are going to end up noticing you. They're going to know some of your patterns. You're going to be a little bit more predictable. They're going to start asking questions. You might slip and give a little too much information, and people could plan to do something to you. That's very likely the case. Um, will it happen? Probably not. I think for Elliot Eastman, if I was watching some of his YouTube videos, and he was saying all kinds of weird stuff. He married a girl of a different religious background, and it has nothing to do with her being Muslim exactly, but um, you know, I would imagine that the Muslim community is very strict, and so they've got some outsider foreigner coming in, and they're dealing with him, and he's not understanding the culture or the religion, but he's converting into it. And online, he's flaunting how much money he has. He's talking about. I think one video he's talking about how many he could have more than one wife or something like that, something crazy. And then he was also, I guess, 5 6ing people. So what you do is you basically charge them like 20% of what you're lending to the person, and yeah, you're gonna piss off some people. And even if you don't have money, people are gonna think you do, and that's just the reality of it. I think for me, I've always been a little bit generous, so like I mean, it's not really much, but if I see like a kid, uh, I've realized that you know, like I'll give them like a 20 peso coin, and they're happy about it. But when I give them a 20 peso bill, they're excited, and so I have like a bunch of little 20 peso bills or 50 peso bills, and I'll give those like around to little kids and stuff like that, and they seem really happy to get their snacks. Now I know if like there's some kids that are a little bit older and they're just kind of begging for money, I'll go with them to like some little mini market thing, and I'll buy them some snacks or whatever. But yeah, that's basically what I do. But really, you make friends. So you find people and you hold on to them. You stay connected to them with Filipinos as friends. You build really good relationships. I would pass back and forth to military checkpoints, and the guys would start recognizing me, asking my name, and we would stop and actually start talking and become friends. So I know some of the military very well, and they're very kind. Like, one of them was worried about me, so he left a little party that I was at and found a home for me to rent at for the night, and then made sure he followed me home, and then made sure I got to my place. So that's what I would say is like, if you want to be safe, be friendly, be approachable, and make sure that you assume everyone has good intentions, but you always think about the what ifs. Hey, I trust you until you do something really suspicious. But yeah, I'm saying a little too much, but that's my personal experience about Mindanao. Is there is the good and the bad, just like any other place, and yeah, the bad there is pretty extreme sometimes. But I just don't live in fear, and I know, you know, I can only do so much to protect myself, and should you go to Mindanao like I do? Probably not. You could probably have a better time and stay in Manila if you want. Um, but you could even go to other parts of the Philippines. It's big, so go ahead. I um, I encourage you to do something different, but I just don't want people to be so scared of Mindanao that they never experience it, because it's really beautiful. And yeah, so with all that to say, uh, if you ever get the chance to go to Mindanao, it's kind of worth it. But yeah, thanks.